Royal DNA test. What is the heritage of the monarchs of Europe? Belgium, Denmark, Liechtenstein, Luxembourg, Monaco, and Norway. Thank you to MyHeritage for sponsoring this video. What's more British than the British royal family? More Spanish than the Spanish monarchs? More Norse than the King of Norway? Well, a lot of things, actually. In fact, nearly all 10 remaining hereditary monarchs of Europe have more German DNA than they do local. For centuries, royals almost exclusively married other foreign royals. They rarely mixed their blue blood with people native to the kingdoms they actually ruled over. What's more, when dynasties died out, often from excessive inbreeding, foreign royal houses put their own second sons on the throne, establishing new, entirely alien dynasties. Modern royal families try to brand themselves as thoroughly native and in touch with the common people. And if they ever spit into a test tube and sent it off for a DNA test, they would probably never publish the results. But by looking back at their family trees, we can get a pretty good idea of their actual heritage. So let's find out when and how the Swedes got so French, the Dutch got Argentinian, and everyone got so German. Belgium. Belgium was part of the Netherlands until the region won independence in 1830. Back then, the idea of appointing a local king, or even becoming a republic, was radical. The French had tried it with mixed results. So, under pressure from the great powers of Europe, they imported a second son from another noble family. Leopold of Saxe-Coburg-Saalfeld was the youngest surviving son of a German duke. He was well connected in Europe and in the United Kingdom. After distinguishing himself in the Napoleonic Wars, he married Princess Charlotte of Wales, the only child of future King George IV. Had things gone to plan, Leopold would have been Prince Consort of the UK, but Charlotte died in childbirth at 21. Heartbroken, Leopold might never have remarried, but when he was elected King of the Belgians at 41, he needed an heir. He married Louise of Orleans, daughter of the new King of France, Louis-Philippe I. Her mother, Marie Amelia of Naples and Sicily, was born in modern-day Italy, but the area had long been ruled by members of the Austrian Habsburg family. Maria Amelie's grandmother was Empress Maria Theresa, so she was half Austrian. That makes Leopold and Louise's children 50% German, 25% French, and 25% Austrian. Their eldest son, Leopold II, had 4 daughters but no legitimate sons. So upon his death, the throne went to his brother Philippe's son, Albert I. His mother, Marie of Hohenzollern-Sigmaringen, had 2 German grandfathers and 2 French grandmothers. Albert I had a happy marriage with Elizabeth of Bavaria, who was mostly German, but was a granddaughter of King Miguel I of Portugal. The Queen was initially unpopular during World War I, but she impressed with her devotion to nursing Belgian soldiers. Albert was a hero who took personal command of the Belgian army. After the war, the 58-year-old king fell to his death while mountain climbing. His son, Leopold III, was happily married to Astrid of Sweden. She was the daughter of Prince Karl of Sweden and Princess Ingeborg of Denmark. One of her grandmothers was German and one Swedish. Astrid was killed in a car crash at 29. During World War II, King Leopold surrendered to the Nazis. His furious people forced him to abdicate in favor of his son, Butuan. His Spanish wife suffered several miscarriages and had no surviving children, so the throne went to his younger brother, Albert II, in 1993. While attending the coronation of Pope John XXIII, Albert met aristocrat Donna Paola Ruffo de Calabria. She is mostly Italian but has French ancestry and is a descendant of the Marquis de Lafayette. In 2013, King Albert abdicated in favor of his son, Philippe, who is the current king of the Belgians. He is roughly 37.5% Italian, 22% German, 17% French, 12.5% Swedish, 6.5% Danish, 3% Portuguese, and 1.5% Austrian. In 1999, he married Mathilde Doetinchem d'Ocosse. She is the first Queen of Belgium to have actual Belgian heritage. She grew up at the Chateau Losange. Her father is a count and her mother is a retired nurse with some Polish ancestry. Their eldest child, Princess Elizabeth, is a mix of 37.5% Belgian, 18.75% Italian, 12.5% Polish, 11% German, 8.5% French, 6.5% Swedish, 3.5% Danish, and 1.5% Portuguese. The Belgian royals speak all three of the nation's official languages: Dutch, French, and German. Denmark. The Danish monarchy is the oldest in Europe, dating back to Grom the Old in 936. The current Luxembourg dynasty began in 1863, when King Frederick VII died without an heir. The throne went to his second cousin, Christian, Duke of Schleswig, Holstein, and Lohmborg. His family was German, but they had ties to the Danish royal family, as did his wife and second cousin, Louise of Hesse-Kassel. So we'll call them both half German and half Danish. Christian and Louise solved the succession problem with a brood of 6 children. Their offspring brought their down-to-earth ways and German-Danish DNA to many other royal houses in Europe. Alexandra married King Edward VII of the UK. Dagmar wed Tsar Alexander III of Russia, and Tura married Crown Prince Ernst August of Hanover. Their second son was elected King George I of Greece. And of course, their oldest son inherited the Danish throne as Frederick VIII. He wed Louise of Sweden. She was the only surviving child of King Karl XV of Sweden and Norway. Her father wanted to make her queen, but her uncle, Oscar II, ended up getting the job. At this point, the Swedish royal family had no Swedish genes at all. Louise was 37.5% French, 37.5% German, and 25% Dutch. The Dutch came from her mother, Louise of the Netherlands. Their eldest son became King Christian X. He was also King of Iceland from 1918 until 1944, when they voted to become a republic. He wed Alexandrine of Mecklenburg-Schwerin. She was mostly German, but her maternal great-grandfather was Nikolai I of Russia. Christian X became a popular symbol of resistance to Nazi occupation during World War II. His son, Frederick IX, was equally popular for his casual manner and years of naval service. He married Ingrid of Sweden, who, like her cousin Louise, was mostly German and French, and had a little Swedish blood from her grandmother Victoria of Baden. They had 3 daughters, the eldest of which, Margrethe II, is the current Queen of Denmark. She is about 67.25% German, 9.5% French, 6.25% Danish, 6.25% Russian, 3% Dutch, and 1.5% Swedish. While studying at the London School of Economics, Princess Margrethe met French diplomat Henri-Marie Jean-André de Lombard de Montpezat. Margrethe and Henri dated secretly for years before he proposed. He was a commoner and was born out of wedlock. 2 facts which would have absolutely barred him from marrying a royal of an earlier generation. But by the 1960s, things had loosened up. They had 2 sons, the eldest of whom, Crown Prince Frederick, is expected to someday be king. While attending the 2000 Sydney Olympics, the prince met Australian marketing consultant Mary Elizabeth Donaldson. Her parents met in Scotland, but immigrated to Tasmania, where Mary was born. She has learned Danish and is a very popular member of the royal family. Their son and heir, Prince Christian, is 50% Scottish-Australian, 28% French, 19% German, 1.5% Russian, and only 1.5% Danish. But the Danes don't seem to mind, as their charitable and down-to-earth royal family is consistently one of the most well-liked in Europe. All this digging into royal family trees makes me curious about my own family history, so I built a family tree using MyHeritage. It's the leading global service for family history research and DNA testing. MyHeritage puts over 19 billion historic records at your fingertips. I did genealogical research on my family 15 years ago before I knew about MyHeritage. And while it was fun, it took a ton of work and time to dig up the names of my ancestors the old-fashioned way. On MyHeritage, I entered a few generations of my family, and with instant discoveries, I got a ton of record matches. These had even more info than I knew before and made it easy to add new generations to my tree. Before I'd hit a dead end on one of my branches, but with MyHeritage, I discovered my 4 times great-grandfather, who was born in Alsace-Lorraine in 1877. I also met a living, long-lost aunt through the site, and we've been enjoying swapping emails about our genealogical discoveries. MyHeritage has some amazing photo features. You can repair, colorize, and animate old family photos and give them new life. Colorized photos, family trees, and memberships to MyHeritage make amazing and unique gifts. My grandparents still talk about the Christmas I gave them a framed family tree, and I'm giving my cousin an updated tree for her wedding this spring. Click the link in the description for a 14-day free trial and enjoy all of MyHeritage's amazing features. If you decide to continue your subscription, you'll get a 50% discount. Sign up for MyHeritage today and discover your history. Liechtenstein. The small principality has existed since 1608, when Holy Roman Emperor Matthias rewarded Karl I with the 62-square-mile territory which now sits on the border of Switzerland and Austria. The princes primarily selected brides from among the noble families of the Holy Roman Empire, which covered modern-day Germany, Czechia, Austria, Poland, and other nations. In 1772, Prince Joseph Wenzel I died childless, and his nephew Franz Joseph I succeeded him. His heritage was primarily Austrian and German. He married Leopoldine von Sternberg, the daughter of an Austrian count. She preferred to spend time at Enlightenment salons in Vienna and rarely visited her husband's rural principality. Their son, Johann I Joseph, served in the Austrian army and distinguished himself in the Napoleonic Wars, after which the Holy Roman Empire crumbled and Liechtenstein became an independent nation in 1806. Johann I Joseph married Josefina, who inherited the title Landgravine of Fürstenberg-Weitra on the border of modern-day Germany and Austria. Alois II married Countess Franziska Kinsky von Wienitz und Tettau, who hailed from a Czech noble family. They had 9 daughters and 2 sons. Both sons, Johann II and Franz I, took a turn ruling, but both died childless. After Franz, the title passed through his sister Henriette's son Alois. Henriette had married her first cousin, Alfred of Liechtenstein, whose mother was Polish. Alois made an illustrious marriage to Elizabeth Amalie, niece of Emperor Franz Joseph I of Austria. He was relieved that his bride was pretty and had not inherited the infamous Habsburg jaw. Her mother, Infanta Maria Theresa of Portugal, was half German. Alois was 69 when his elderly uncle died. He didn't want to take on the responsibility of ruling, so he passed the title to his energetic 32-year-old son, Franz Joseph II. During his 51-year reign, he brought banking to Liechtenstein and transformed it into one of the richest nations in the world. He was thus extremely popular with his now wealthy people. He had a happy marriage with his third cousin, Countess Georgiana von Wilczek. She had Austrian, German, and Czech heritage. She was well regarded for caring for children and prisoners of war and pushing for women's suffrage, which was finally passed in 1984. Their son, Hans Adam II, is the current sovereign prince of Liechtenstein. He is approximately 40.5% Austrian, 22% German, 12.5% Polish, 12.5% Czech, and 12.5% Portuguese. Considering his nation has a population of just under 40,000, many citizens marry foreign partners, so the prince's Austrian heritage is pretty close to local. Hans Adam wed his second cousin, Countess Marie Kinsky von Wienitz und Tettau, who was half Czech, half Austrian. In 2021, she died of a stroke at 81. Per tradition, the prince has named his son, hereditary Prince Alois, as regent. He now runs the nation and the family business, worth an estimated $7.6 billion, making the Liechtensteiners the wealthiest monarchy in Europe. He married Sophie Herzogin in Bavaria, niece of the Duke of Bavaria. Her father's family opposed Hitler and spent World War II in concentration camps, but they survived. Her mother, Countess Elizabeth Douglas, hails from Swedish, Scottish, and German nobility. She is the 10 times great-granddaughter of King Charles I of England, Scotland, and Ireland. His son, James II and VII, was kicked off the throne back in 1688 for being Catholic. And according to the alternative Jacobite succession, Sophie would be second in line to the British throne. Her son, Josef Windsal, is about 37.25% German, 22.5% Austrian, 15.5% Czech, 12.5% Swedish, 6.25% Scottish, 3% Polish, and 3% Portuguese. He is not likely to unseat his distant cousin, King Charles III, but he does stand to inherit the much wealthier Principality of Liechtenstein. Luxembourg. The small nation on the border of France, Germany, and Belgium is just under 1,000 square miles, a bit smaller than Rhode Island. Its first Grand Duke, a title which actually outranks Sovereign Prince, was Count Siegfried back in 963. Since then, the title has been held by the Dukes of Burgundy, then the Holy Roman Emperors, and finally the Kings of the Netherlands. In 1890, the Dutch throne passed to Queen Wilhelmina, but Luxembourg's succession laws were agnatic, meaning women could not inherit. So the title went to the Queen's 73-year-old German cousin, Adolphe. He was married to Adelheid Marie of Anhalt-Dessau, who was also mostly German, but had a Danish grandmother. Their son, Willem IV, had been raised Protestant, but as Luxembourg is a Catholic country, he imported a Catholic bride, Marie Anna of Portugal. She had a German mother, but her father, King Miguel I, was half Portuguese and half Spanish. The couple had 6 daughters and no sons, so Willem changed the law to allow women to inherit, and his daughter, Marie Adelaide, became the first Grand Duchess Regnant of Luxembourg. Her German sympathies made her unpopular during World War I, and she was forced to abdicate in favor of her sister Charlotte. She wed Prince Felix of Bourbon-Parma, a younger son of the Duke of Parma in modern-day Italy. His father was half French and half Italian, by way of centuries of intermarrying with the Bourbon and Habsburg dynasties. His mother, Infanta Maria Antonia of Portugal, was a sister of Charlotte's mother, so Charlotte and Felix were first cousins. During World War II, the Nazis occupied Luxembourg, but Charlotte refused to collaborate. In 1964, she retired and abdicated in favor of her son, Jean. He had joined the Irish Guard and was part of the Allied liberation of Luxembourg. He married Princess Josephina Charlotte of Belgium, who had a diverse heritage, which we've already covered. She was the daughter of King Leopold II and Queen Astrid, and a sister to King Albert II of the Belgians. Thus, Philippe, the current King of the Belgians, and Henri, the current Duke of Luxembourg, are first cousins. Henri is about 45% German, 12.5% Portuguese, 12.5% Swedish, 11% French, 8% Danish, 6.5% Italian, 3% Spanish, and 1.5% Austrian. While attending the University of Geneva, he fell in love with a fellow student, Maria Teresa Meste y Batista. She was born in Havana, Cuba, and is of Spanish bourgeoisie descent. Her family escaped the dictatorship of Fidel Castro in 1959 and moved to New York City, where Maria Teresa spent most of her childhood. The couple have 5 children. The eldest, Guillaume, hereditary Grand Duke of Luxembourg, is heir. He wed Countess Stephanie de Lannoy. The House of Lannoy has roots in the 13th century nobility of Hainaut, in what is now Belgium. The couple have 2 sons, Charles and Francois, who were born in 2020 and 2023. They are a mix of 50% Belgian, 25.75% Spanish via Cuba, 11.25% German, 3.25% Portuguese, 3.25% Swedish, 2.75% French, 2% Danish, and 1.75% Italian. Monaco. At less than a single square mile, Monaco is the smallest nation with a hereditary monarchy and the second smallest sovereign state in the world after Vatican City. Back in 1297, Rainier I left Genoa in modern-day Italy to conquer the Rock of Monaco. Ever since, the beautiful city on the French Riviera has been ruled by the Grimaldi family. According to legend, Rainier raped a beautiful young woman and then burned her at the stake as a witch. As she died, she uttered a curse: "Never will a Grimaldi find happiness in marriage." The Grimaldis have had many generations of miserable marriages. I have a video all about it. For the first few centuries, the lords of Monaco primarily wrote back to the noble families of Italy for brides. But in the 1640s, Honoré II compelled both Felipe IV of Spain and Louis XIII of France to recognize Monaco as a sovereign nation. He was the first to call himself the Prince of Monaco, and he opened up more aristocratic marriage markets for his descendants. His grandson, Louis I, married sensuous French aristocrat Catherine Charlotte de Gramont. She cheated on him repeatedly, including with King Louis XIV. She gave birth to 7 children, though how her husband knew that they were his is anyone's guess. Assuming they were, his son Antonio was half Italian and half French. He married a French noblewoman, Marie de Lorraine, and blamed her for giving birth to 6 daughters and no male heir. The title passed to their eldest daughter, Louise. Her husband, Jacques de Maintenon, remained at Versailles with his lovers. When his wife died of smallpox, he finally showed up in Monaco to claim power, but he was run out of the country and his 11-year-old son, Honoré III, became prince instead. He brought some Italian blood back to the family by marrying Maria Caterina Brignoli, daughter of the Genoese ambassador. During the French Revolution, the princely family of Monaco was imprisoned, and their wealth was taken by the Republic. Prince Honoré IV married French Duchess Louise d'Ormonde for her money. They hated each other and took advantage of the Republic's liberal divorce laws. Their son, Florestan I, married a French actress, Marie-Caroline Gilbert de la Metz, outraging his parents. They had a rare, happy marriage. Their son Charles III married Antoinette de Merode, daughter of a Belgian count, and he used her impressive dowry to build Monte Carlo Casino, transforming Monaco into a glamorous destination. They were happy too, but Antoinette died at the age of 35 from cancer. Their son, Albert I, wanted to marry the cream of European royalty, one of Queen Victoria's daughters, but they all turned him down, and the Queen instead suggested Scottish noblewoman, Lady Mary Victoria Douglas Hamilton. Her mother was half German, half French. Albert and Mary had one son, but she hated the Mediterranean. The couple divorced, and Albert had many scandalous affairs with courtesans. Louis II was raised by his mother and did not return to Monaco until he was 11. He hated his father, and at 18 he left to join the French Foreign Legion. During World War I, he had an affair with a Parisian cabaret singer, Marie-Juliette Louvet. She bore a daughter, Charlotte, but his father forbade them to marry. Once Louis became prince, he started the Monaco Grand Prix, legitimized his only daughter Charlotte, and arranged her marriage to Pierre de Polignac, the Duke of Valentinois. They had 2 children, but he was gay and they split up. Their son, Rainier III, thought a glamorous marriage might renew the world's interest in visiting Monaco. In 1955, he met American Academy Award-winning actress Grace Kelly. Her father, Jack, was the son of Irish immigrants and made millions in the brick business in Philadelphia. His wife, Margaret Mayer, was the child of German immigrants. Grace agreed to marry the prince in a business-minded arrangement. She was required to undergo a fertility test, and her father paid a $2 million dowry. Their wedding was a 20th century fairy tale, but the marriage was not a happily ever after. The pair had little in common, and Rainier was often unfaithful. In 1982, the 52-year-old princess suffered a stroke and drove off a cliff. Her daughter Stephanie survived the accident, but Grace did not. Her son Albert II is the current sovereign prince of Monaco. He is approximately 42.5% French, 26.5% German, 25% Irish, 3% Scottish, and 3% Belgian. The 700-year-old Grimaldi curse seems to live on today. The tumultuous love lives of Albert and his sisters, Caroline and Stephanie, have been ample tabloid fodder. At 53, the Playboy prince settled down with 33-year-old Olympic swimmer Charlene Wittstock. She was born in Rhodesia, now Zimbabwe, and relocated to South Africa. Her family is mostly German with some Irish heritage. The couple share twins, Gabriella and Jacques, born in 2014. Jacques, heir to the principality, is about 49.25% German, 25% Irish, 21.25% French, 1.5% Scottish, and 1.5% Belgian. Norway. In 1905, Norway dissolved their union with Sweden and became an independent nation. Prince Karl of Denmark was elected the new king. When we explored the Danish family tree, we learned that he, like his brother Christian X, was about 43.5% German, 19% French, 25% Danish, and 12.5% Dutch. He took the historic Norwegian name of Håkon VII and was a popular king. He was happily married to his first cousin, Maud of Wales, daughter of King Edward VII of the UK and Queen Alexandra of Denmark. She was mostly German, but a bit Danish. During World War II, Håkon and his son, the future Olav V, refused to surrender to the Nazis. Norway was occupied and they escaped to neutral Sweden on foot through the snowy forest. They were a symbol of resistance and returned in triumph after the war. Olav V married his first cousin, Princess Martha of Sweden. Like her sister, Queen Astrid of the Belgians, she had two Swedish grandparents, one Danish and one German. Their son, Harald V, is the current King of Norway. He is about 42.25% German, 25% Swedish, 25% Danish, 4.75% French, and 3% Dutch. He fell in love with commoner Sonja Haraldsson. His father wanted him to marry a foreign princess, but Harald said he would marry Sonja or never marry and bring an end to the dynasty. They wed in 1968. Their son, Crown Prince Håkon, met Norwegian commoner Mette-Marit Tjessem Høybeim in 2000 at a music festival. There was scandal because she was a single mother and her son's father is a convicted drug offender. But Princess Mette-Marit has since won back public affection. She and Håkon's eldest child, Ingrid Alexandra, born in 2004, is second in line to the throne. At 75% Norwegian, she is the heir in Europe with the most heritage from the country over which she will likely one day reign. In the next episode, we'll explore the heritage of the Dutch, Spanish, Swedish, and British royal families, and compare them all to see which modern monarchy has the most local DNA, and find out why the royals of Europe are all so German. Don't forget to click the link in the description for a 14-day free trial and enjoy all of MyHeritage's amazing features. If you decide to continue your subscription, you'll get a 50% discount. Sign up for MyHeritage today and discover your history. Don't want to wait to see the next episode? Patrons get exclusive early access to all of my multi-part series. If you would like to join my Patreon and help me make more fascinating videos, click on the link in the description. Thank you for watching.